And this week has not been filled with Russian advances, but Russian retreats. We've seen massive Russian retreats along with massive Ukrainian counterattacks, largely around their major cities, pushing back Russians from territory they had conquered. This is largely due to an attempt by Putin and the Russian forces to regroup and re-strengthen their logistics, which have been completely failing up to this point. Starting at the northeast, same direction as always. Massive movements from Kiev upward. We saw tiny movements by Russians up here, but nothing major. Major stories here is Ukrainian defensive movements here and here. And also here and everywhere around Kiev. There's a lot of Ukrainian defensive movements around their capital. Not much over here. Kharkiv is now not completely surrounded, which is good for that city's defense to allow supply lines to still get in. Heading down here, we saw a massive Ukrainian counterattack, which has reopened supply lines or re-strengthened supply lines to some as they weren't possible, but this allows Ukrainian forces to send them more along major roads rather than in forested areas. Around Kharkiv, we didn't see much counterattacks, a little bit here, but not much movement from Russian forces either, as the only major movement was that. Yeah, that's it right there. That's all the Russians really moved around Kharkiv. Heading down here, this is an area we haven't seen many Ukrainian counterattacks, as they've been largely centered around their major cities. This area has lacked them. The one thing we have seen is not any major movements by Russians to try to connect up their forces here. Heading down south, we still have Mariupol, which is still not taken, though you are seeing increased Russian forces moving into the center of that city. So, as always, I say next week it's going to be gone, but who knows, honestly. Up here, this is where the largest counterattack was in the south. Massive forces, Russian forces that pushed all the way up here, but now Ukrainian forces pushed them all the way back down. This major movement had already generally occurred, but there was some extension down here as Ukrainian forces have started to push back towards Kherson. So that is all our major movements. It's largely been regrouping movements by the Russians and counterattacks by the Ukrainians. Other than that, we haven't seen anything other major other than the peace talks in Turkey. Now, Russia claimed that they were going to cut down bombing raids and move towards withdrawing from Kiev, but we have not actually seen this. Hours later after the talk, bombardments of Kiev occurred, bombardments of everywhere occurred, and we haven't actually seen much of a change out of the Turkish peace talks. So, like I've been saying, I don't think we're going to see much of peace talks, at least not for a while. One of the things I do think is, I think Mariupol will be gone soon, largely because Russian forces have pierced into the center of the city, and right now there's two main pockets of Ukrainian resistance, one in the north and one towards the south. And Russian forces have pierced almost about to cut the two sections off from each other, so if Russian forces can divide these two sections in half, they can then attack one and then focus on the other, which would lead to the fall of Mariupol. Though I always claim it's going to be next week, I don't think it will maybe be next week. I think we're going to see a lot more bombardments by Russian troops, as I think they will still largely be regrouping to reinforce their supply lines, especially around major cities like Kiev, Kharkiv, and definitely you're going to see troop movements over here to bolster up and defend against these encroaching counterattacks. So that is the state of war, week 5. Still got a lot more weeks to go. Also, I will not be doing one of these states of wars next week, as I will be on vacation. So, you'll be on your own to learn what's happened.